Up next on The Bottom Line, advocating for improved metro service. The council's Transportation and Environment Committee takes its show on the road to hear from riders.
I also think it is kind of ridiculous that our metro closes at midnight.
We'll go to Poolesville, where a local historian talks about a painful part of Montgomery County's past.
And his body swung lifelessly. For Peck, his life ended to a violent day that gripped the Washington region and made headlines across the nation.
And we visit with Milken Award winner Brian Quinn and learn what makes his classroom so magical. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Susan Kenedy. Thousands of Montgomery County residents use Metro on a daily basis. Recently, about 100 of those riders and transit advocates attended a town hall meeting at the Silver Spring Civic Building to talk about improvements to the system. The meeting was hosted by the council's Transportation and Environment Committee. Ending turnbacks.
And there are days that I am rushing down L Street.
Adding more 8-car trains.
And someone talked about how we can have 8 train cars and be on a consistent basis.
And better accommodations for the disabled.
I look at the sign that says, in case of an emergency, leave your wheelchair and bicycle behind.
That's just part of the discussion that took place at the council's Transportation and Environment Town Hall discussion on Metro service improvements. And Montgomery County Metro Board members Michael Goldman and Kathy Porter were also on hand.
So where better to be than right where people are most affected by it? We're here in the Silver Spring Civic Building, but there's a lot of riders of Metro who get on in Forest Glen, in Glenmont, and Wheaton who are also going to be here tonight because part of the general manager's proposal is to double the number of trains going to those stations.
Michael Goldman presented the audience with a plan for service improvements that includes ending the Silver Spring turnback, doubling rush hour service on the northeastern end of the Red Line, adding cars on all lines to increase rush hour capacity, adding 30 minutes of peak service, and having a flat fare on the weekends. Panelists were invited to speak about how Metro's reliability and service affects their livelihood.
Employees are not making it to work on time. People aren't making it to the meetings on time.
I also think it is kind of ridiculous that our metro closes at midnight.
And the audience was full of Metro users who let leaders know how important Metro service is to their quality of life.
So when you had the extended shutdowns for Metro, it seemed like things were done, given that there was going to be a disruption, to make things as difficult as possible.
I think all of us on the council are trying to do more meetings in the community. We want to be accessible to our constituents, and more of them, we certainly are very well aware of all the transportation hassles in Montgomery County.
History shows there were 3 lynchings that took place here in Montgomery County. Recently, local historian Tony Cohen spoke in Poolesville about the lynching of George Peck, which took place in this western Montgomery County community.
In Montgomery County, there were 3 known lynchings.
It's a painful part of Montgomery County's history, the lynchings of 3 black men here in the county, 2 in 1880 and 1 in 1896. Recently, the historic Medley District in Poolesville brought in a local historian to fill in the details on one of these events.
With the mighty hoist of the rope from the crowd,
that still has so many unanswered questions.
And his body swung lifelessly.
The lynching of George Peck.
For Peck, his life ended to a violent day that gripped the Washington region and made headlines across the nation. The first recorded lynching at its time to occur in Montgomery County, Peck's death released a specter of violence that would haunt the region for decades to come.
The lynching of George Peck, a local laborer, featured images of people, places, and artifacts from this chapter of Poolesville's history. A descendant of slaves himself, Cohen recounted the events of the day of the lynching up until its final moments.
Choosing a field across from the Presbyterian Church with a large locust tree from which to hang their bedraggled prey. Hauling him down the street and tossing his body over a fence without ceremony, Peck now resolved to meet his maker, if such a God could possibly exist. To a spot where, quote, under the shadow of the church, end quote, as one reporter claimed. All right, any questions?
After the presentation, Cohen took questions from the audience.
Yes.
Clearly moved by the injustice of the death of George Peck, some questioned how Peck's lynching could go unnoticed.
What were local government responses to these cases of vigilante justice? Did they condemn them outright, or did they conveniently look the other way?
This is an excellent question. This is hopefully a question that will be answered in joint partnership and research between Montgomery County Historical Society and the County Council.
Recently, the County Council said it would form a Reconciliation and Remembrance Committee to take a look at the reported lynchings that took place here in Montgomery County and see that they are properly memorialized through the Equal Justice Initiative.
There were voices in the community saying, wait a minute, this is the government that let this happen. Obviously, the government, our county government today, is not a county government that oversaw lynchings. Apologies are for the living and can only be given by us to us.
Council members Hans Riemer and Andrew Friedson attended Cohen's presentation. Both believe strongly in the council's commitment in advancing this dialogue.
Well, one of the first steps in this whole conversation is to get the facts about the events that happened, to learn about the lynchings and to try to place them geographically.
A moment of silence.
And so here we are standing where Mr. Peck was dragged and hung from a tree. And so it helps to be able to visualize that and to stand in front of a building that was here at that time. So it's an important part of the conversation, of the process, this journey as we engage this dialogue.
One account said that the lynching happened in front of the church.
Well, I think it's our responsibility. I think it's our obligation. For too long in Montgomery County and in many other places around the country, unfortunately, there was institutionalized issues that the government was on the wrong side of. Many of these issues were participating in some of the perpetrating of these historical wrongs, and I think to institutionalize the solutions and to have the government and in this case the County Council really taking a leadership role with some of my colleagues who have done incredible work here, I think sends the right message, and hopefully we can bring everybody together in order to do it.
And those community members who came out on a cold February day to listen and learn about this part of our past say it's an opportunity to dignify the lives of the victims.
I have been on a personal journey for the last, 5-7 years to learn more about equity and race and education. That's what brought me here today. And this is really spectacular. I think Montgomery County government, together with all our partners, are doing a really great job of enlightening and teaching, and that's what I am, a teacher.
But perhaps one of the most moving moments of the day
Need a minute.
came when Tony Cohen told the story of his own great-grandfather, Abraham Warren, the son of his master and a slave woman, a man who escaped tragedy to go on and own 350 acres of farmland in Texas under a new identity.
As far as we know, we are the only black landholders on the Trinity River today. And he did it so that his children would never have to grow up and work for a white person.
For Tony Cohen,
everyone ready?
Talking about the past is his reconciliation and remembrance.
Hey, nice job. I didn't say that to you. That was great.
Oh, thank you.
The Milken Award is given nationally to 40 teachers each year. And one of this year's winners is one of Montgomery County Public Schools' finest, Brian Quinn. We visited his class to see what makes this 4th grade math teacher a true winner.
Also, you can put it on multiples. What are some multiples of 3?
It might seem like it's game time in Brian Quinn's 4th grade math class. But really, this award-winning teacher is increasing confidence and engagement with these students.
The Milken Educator Award goes to Brian Quinn!
Quinn recently received the coveted Milken Award for his creative teaching strategies. At an assembly in front of his peers and students, Quinn was recognized as one of the top 40 educators in the United States.
I walked in that morning and saw the cameras. It was our first assembly with this principal. So I thought, oh, he just does it big. This is amazing. Like, he goes all out. And then actually a student came in and told us, oh, a cameraman said we're winning money. And she was like, I think it's you. And I was like, I was like, I think you're confused. And I was like, oh, maybe our school got some money. So I had really no idea what the award was until she started talking. And I was like, this is awesome, but I had no idea it was me.
This East Silver Spring elementary school teacher combines board and computer games and group work to get his students interested in a subject that can seem daunting. And it's a formula for success. 70% of his math students meet grade level proficiency.
I try to make it pretty much everything into a game. The kids really love just to play, and so do I. It makes my job easier. So as much as I can to make it interesting for them and fun in a game. Not always like, oh, I won, but like just working together. A lot of times I'll have them versus me, and they don't even know that they're practicing math, and they'll just be like, all right, we're great, yeah, there we won. And so it just, if they're excited about it, I think they lose focus that they're actually learning. And then so it makes them think we're just playing games, having fun, and the learning is kind of a trick that. Prime 10? All right, let's do one round of prime 10.
His interaction with them brought the room to life.
They're like, oh, can we do it? They came up with, they said, can we do it with prime numbers? So it's great. So they go in a circle, they say all the prime numbers. Go ahead, John Carlos. 2, 3. If someone misses one or says a wrong number, they sit.
Sit down.
Whoa, she skipped 19 is prime. You skipped 15. Start over. And just keep going until we have a winner. Still standing, line up for PE.
Okay.
You really were patient, and when some of the kids were struggling, I saw a couple of them, you waited.
20.
20?
23? No.
23?
And gave them time, and a lot of times they were successful.
You've got to give every student their time. Every student learns at different paces. And you saw a lot of, I don't know if you saw a lot of other students kind of whisper sometimes what the answer, because they just want to help each other. So it kind of builds community in this classroom when they're working together and trying to support each other.
Quinn graduated from Salisbury University and has been teaching since 2006.
How do I make 17? What can you multiply to make 17? 1 times 17.
11 of those years have been spent at East Silver Spring Elementary.
You got 1, 2, 4, and 5.
He told us family members thought he'd be good at teaching, and when he visited his first classroom, he knew he'd found his calling.
I think every day is different. Like some days it might be they finally, after a week of struggling with something, if you see them, they go, aha, I get it. Some days it's when they come in and go, Mr. Quinn, I had a bad day, and they just talk to you about their whole life. And it's like, all right, I'm glad I could be there. I mean, every simple day is, what about it? It's new. Every day is new. Is you the man?
Yeah, she loves it.
You can't complain about that job.
I know that people like you make our system better.
And recently, the county council recognized Quinn for his achievement with a proclamation. He says it was at that moment he realized the magnitude of his accomplishment.
To be honest, I didn't really think about that until I was leaving the Montgomery County Council, and I was reading over the proclamation. I'm thinking, it's pretty big. Like I thought it was big, and it was awesome to receive the award. But I guess it just never really hit me until I was leaving there, and I was like, this is really cool, and it's a great honor. I still don't even think I'm one of the best teachers here, let alone like to get nominated one out of the whole state of Maryland. So it was pretty amazing. Still very humbled. I don't think I deserve it, so please don't take it back. I hope they don't take it back.
The award came with a $25,000 cash prize, and in March he will travel to the Milken Educator Forum in New Orleans. For now, that cash is in a bank account as he receives plenty of ideas from his students on how to spend it.
I have not touched it yet. The students, they wrote notes. The students said I should buy a mansion. I don't know if it's enough for a mansion. Redskin tickets. I think I might next season buy a few home games, but I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with it yet. Put your journal inside your math folder.
Quinn says he has been offered the opportunity to take his career to the next level, but says for now he's staying in the classroom. Well, that does it for this edition of The Bottom Line. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kenedy. Thanks for watching.